Anas Aremeyaw Anas on share mask me be yina kire Ghana for some months no oninie Anas no o share mask no anu mi nim no but ma men kan say the o share mask no say your no so na de mi be yi on share mask na ye ono a then ye bisa so omrefia but so nim say enye ono a de me kan say he should shut up wherever he is but before me call on the ground no then I place a call to this Anas without mask muntie ni ye only then to place a call to him say Anas yes say wo jejensa sibi wo eye chado ene na say for is this true?
All right, Abusian for my memo Akwaba Emma VANDYKE GH. And first time I shall miss you say, over subscribe to your page. No, follow your Instagram, Facebook, so VANDYKE GH. No, I share a video. I'm a afro and you I share. And then you have discussing about Anas and honorable Kennedy Japan. More court in sense seminar echo happen or America, New Jersey. Court. In same be about Bontani. I 80 million US dollars. No, I don't think it's going to be possible. So Anas business scam. Na Ghana for be bridging say. Anas a rainy case in the honorable Ken Edison scan. Kwaku. It's not going to happen. And then ya bob one some man. One of people do patches in some polo. I'm a bonnet bed. Me be bem. No mas sanim. Achero. Make a san chimpino. Other four. You charm haba. Me ba. Ye bet you chunkomo. Abusuya yaba na yaba. Honorable Kennedy Japan on Anas Aremeyaw Anas ehonsem and yeba ebeka. My bia ye friend Kwaku nan ano ye adwuma Emma Honorable Kennedy Japan or Lake 2 TV. Edi nsem bi aba tudwa efa one Anas is setting up. Nsem Honorable Kennedy Japan ene Kwaku nan se o mabo nsem no party se eche Russian weapon. Tenya Anas nkwa na abo no. So dream se Ghana ha ena se lawyers for na niam na de be kwa America lawyers be di amana. Ghana ha no mambo mo hono da. Say lawyers no nsem o mo kan no. Ghana for your lawyers no o mo ye good. Nsem o mo kan ni nyina so ewum. Se nya de Anas Kwaku ginya se scan $18 million intin. Sa Anas ni 3 million da. On ta muchuku na bibia no a eba. Kwaku na nsem a o de abatudwa no. CTV. Se nsem no do so pa. Achi se ne die Anas Aremeyaw Anas ni picture and an image de a trending the whole Ghana. The whole world is will be a onim Anas Aremeyaw bia na ne afenia o share fuma ye ba be wo. We always see matter me nkonko bo Kwaku na videos we release and in summer o kan and in summer Anas Aremeyaw e de to no so abra na enye no kro. So see Anas de bisia onu so obitwa. No for you waste matter me nkonko he video no.
Anas Aremeyaw Anas on share mask me be yina kire Ghana for some months no oninie Anas no o share mask no anu mi nim no but ma men kan say the o share mask no say your no so na de mi be yi on share mask na ye ono a then ye bisa so omrefia but so nim say enye ono a de me kan say he should shut up wherever he is peni ka say mi say say wo kotu benu so mo kontokwa emi so mo say ba ne say o bisa wo mo say na no na ba ne say eno ena be ma wasem wetimi hu asem ne mu yie I Kwaku amete I have been a victim of how Anas Aremeyaw Anas eye na adwuma. Somewhere in 2015 I wasn't on TV, I was on radio. Me wo ho. Then a group of chiefs coming from East Dadekotopon. Munim East Dadekotopon. Womo ba me office. Na me wo radio so be ka kire me say they want an investigation and this is not the first investigative program I'm running. If you care to know. Womo ba ye omo se me run an investigation on so me say but this is a journalist I know, a friend, because mini ya ye dwuma pen. Anas Aremeyaw Anas. Womo say yes. Na me say aha. Assembly womo see he is encroaching on their lands. With the whole of East Dadekotopon. Honom ni ade. Na me say are you guys sure? Anas Aremeyaw Anas no, he's not closer to any stuff like that. Yeah, argument in ya we and then at a point. What happened is saying I have to go on the ground. So I needed to go on the ground. But before I go on the ground, then I place a call to this Anas without mask. Only then to place a call to him say, Anas, yes, sir, what jejensa sibiwo eye chado ene na say for. Is this true? Also, bro, it's not true. And that he's going to buy a land. And a land no be person oje assassin free ni nsem. And then okeka ni nsem na na msi no. Come forward ni nim komo. Also, no, many times I'm about for because we're busy financing. I'm saying no problem. Then I have to go on the ground to check, collaborate what I was told to that of what is being put out there. Only to go and realize that, as someone I have for no more is that they go to pon de buy no. Necessarily they nkuma. What? Avalanche of complaints, accusations, allegations, including say. People I spoke to, some were politicians, some were businessmen, including the Roman Catholic Church, the big church in Chado. Roman Asofwe, any friends and sister Teresa, when we complain, say, Anas, Aremeyaw is encroaching on their lands. How? And if some of you care to know, there were ministers including a minister like the former minister for friends and local government, Martin J. Kosa. Anas, Aremeyaw Anas, of Bimbila, Northern Region. So the question is, Oya den e was 7 cranfo asase. Sir, is that the Koton Ponsasi? At a point, there were 2 families fighting on the land. One called Terry Attach Nachefo. One they call for Anas Aremeyaw Anas by so Ombe no more fighting because of Anas, has built the clouds and his image and blah 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 into Ombe. Only then Anas came Anas abe entrenching and realized that no, and Krofonu need the capacity to match. So he knowing the in and out of the system, so taking advantage over the situation. This is how Anas got himself in the lands in Chado, where John Mahama lives now. Anas was accused of dropping land gas all over the place. Now, the trust that was formed by Peter Lajeteno eventually went into another transition. I was so overwhelmed. I'm saying, what is going on? Every move to bring Anas closer for us to understand what is going on. So we realized that no, what we need to do is that we have to do a documentary about this. Is this the guy who claims to be the self-righteous, the gatekeeper? Now, on radio, then I had made announcements, said this is what is going on, and we need to put this documentary out for Ghanaians to know. Because Anas, and we think that he's not the person he claims to be. Ghanaians, guess what? This was in 2015. Once we were plotting to do this documentary, Aremeyaw Anas was preparing to release his number 12 documentary of Kwesi Nyantakyi. Now, when Oscouty who said no, at that time I'd come to interview him about the issues going on in Chado. Quickly, no, yes and no. He has to discredit this journalist Kwaku Annan first before anything comes out. How he managed to sense, he said, no, I was plotting to do a documentary to expose him. I don't know. I was there just one particular time. Making them say, I said 2 weeks for him to drop the number 12. So the atmosphere was charged. Then a gentleman by name called Kwaku, whose name surfaced in the last conversation between Ahmed and then friends Amachi Mekai, that boy Kwaku, another useless idiot. Osumano, and I didn't know who this guy was. This boy calls me and says, Opeso ni mi di nkomo in terms of intimate opeso share me. Then ni ko share wa fikiko. Ye ko share branch say, me wofa eka number 12 na eba no, and that ne wofa any Kwesi Nyantakyi. Akoye business of $1 million say sika no. Aye bi me ne wofa na adwane akɔhye bunu ho baby because of the expose. Na me really na womati say Mimi be documentary be about this same Anas or no say cleaning system. And so that's true. But we are in the preparational state because what we have is so much. Or say then me what say they want to come and sponsor that documentary. And so really, no big deal. Yeah, they see a Juma. Then we departed. Now Obaya he just put on the table a checkered bag. No, this is no so. I thought that was a bag. The next day, and our some friends so no one for Onina Kobon Command and Wafa Jat say they are ready to come on board and feed on that documentary. About the second time, Odru one or the same checkered bag, Odisi upon also, and or the envelope to us, and the Wafa so unfair money. Now, we and the commitment he said they want to sponsor them. So, oh, really? How kind your alphabet me? Now the envelope now bring me scared them to me, man and co. Meet me, baby, what be frame? Oh, by ya, what is he come and say, Minge? Now, Wafa say, and the commitment just on my documentary, no problem. Then that meeting also ended. Then the second time you say she biom, no say, ne Wafa say, on be some say dabena air check. The brain ye pesi ye document am say you ora. And anything I will frame here buy. Please tell Wafa onto no boase. And also ye be kono so o yi envelope a free bag no so me Wafa say me fema. I'm so catch Wafa say me dana say. Nemum ye next meeting there but that ne me nya the total cost of our documentary, because we need to speak to the television station. Me need time I make Independence Square ne say na akoye that's you know they be no no, I'm not interested in that. Yeah, the TV stations need to telecast. The third one, then we've gone to check with some TV stations knowing how much this documentary was going to cost, including the footages on the ground near the best documentary. So the third one, we met at hotel my friends and Kempiskis and then I wrote everything on paper. Right there now, you better Danny so Miss Annan, maybe what for some infernal. And they say you figure name catch, and then our next meeting I'll bring our sponsorship to this documentary. Now listen to me well. So when Nima Sembia Shasia, Nasa Ube Joa Bekika Sabin, some Fuachemia, no I am measured because I will bear me, I will slap you to death. We are talking about life and death matter here. Do you know how many people Anas, Aremeyaw Anas, and this are bonny way or did do one? This stupid entrapment, this stupid, foolish entrapment business. Ghanaian authorities could allow Anas to go scot-free with all of this. You can understand how passionate I have been when it comes to this little twitch. Now, my channel, anywhere, Obi send a message by said, Anas, Kwaku, go and teach Anas, a friend say, Kwaku, a lesson. Where? Me do nyame. Anywhere Anas will go is what I'm looking. Me upa, famiko US what all the Kwaku na wabroso. You can take Canada, Japan to anywhere in the world. For me, anywhere the maybe corner, my Canada, Japan, they be a pay corner. Come me yes came out. But anywhere Anas is prepared to walk with me down the aisle. Swear to God, I'm too much ready. Asima make a chemu. Ni na ko Korea saying. Korea say. Abrante ni jam wa oko ya pe. Then how many days? It could be about 4 to 5 days. Then a colleague of mine who was a journalist.
Then I think Kwaku and I look smart as a senior journalist. Obisi no offer na se ba be no ho number 12 sa documentary na. You have to be smart and know. Any offer no one ho ma me no offer na nkasa. We no offer na nkasa. And also so an investigation who say be any panel. As some of the by say no question no but I think say you were into the money. And no come between also so follow here or Anas a documentary. But sen ka so ye match investigation say no me pese me so okay me wo fa ni hia. Upon baby we be asore no ho asi so aye dey you. Pese ni hia me dey nkomo. Ka bon so so asem na Anas nkora ne ba wo ho no. Ka so benya information. And we say no, of no be so sit here. But I think say you were much into the money. And until be ma also fall into the trap no.
And so mna me trap you. And I'm say but do you know the discussion it's about the documentary I'm about to do? And also no. Before I do a public court of public opinion, they put the snippets of this into the airwaves. They charge the atmosphere to the extent that one can one. What is that one some near day banwa? No soon no crying and I they need Johnny. And that's very evil and very wicked. This is what they did to Kwesi Nyantakyi. Abrante enemy can same way about 1 hour. Na me who me first video. Pam at the public domain, telling a story which is completely different from what we had in Afrikiko. Until and almost about the afternoon time, almost a drop another video, bam, and also a bedaho. Hey, and when you check all these videos here, none of the issues about discussing them corresponds with what is in the video. And the video, they've put a narrative behind the video. A narrative that is not my word is about them. Ono no walk in them. Now me share video ni and I'm say, hey, and just someone here can is are we serious? This is Aremeyaw. We you juma. Na boni me na mayo. Me documentary. So if he said the way no, and ne kra, I don't know forward. But you know something, he needed to do that quickly to discredit Kwaku Annan of what he's about to do, so that he can save his image. And from that day, I'm say, hey.
Yes, Kwaku Annan, you did not look smart. Yes, obese when Oman ebe sound huntem. Because when you look smart, you were much into the money, into the money on where they. When you see deceive you, because when we said no, the documentary no they about out. So when you can knock it down, now all the about all the about the cover no. No yes, are smart, but now also say also say much further investigation. If Anas documentary now, oh yeah, Anas ni pana no catch us and they offer. Or Anas and number 12 documentary no. But one for the investigation, the answer we scan and know here, and it's all be promote or the best sell it or documentary now, also so gather. So what you see? Now it's a kind of investigation about that. Let's move on.
And once who Anas took Kwaku Annan to media commissions and media commission for MMA investigating me because I'm disgracing him and that he has come to give me a bribe. Now listen and cross the dot and the T and make a sense of it. Say somebody who has said openly coming to do his documentary and you go and give him money. Then after that you go and make a narrative that you've come to give him bribe. A bribe to stop exposing you or a bribe to do what? And from that day, now see you. All this your self-style entrapment business, you are making it look as though you are fighting corruption. I will expose you until the world will end. Hey, me Kwaku. But you know what? A lot of people are now taking this thing to them. Many of them, he succeeded and destroyed them. But me, you can't. I'm also a journalist. So let's face it squarely. Okay? Let's face it squarely. Now who be kick and say me be attack and ask for what? Ghana have be sure me dunya me Aremeyaw. When no lawyers, you can even have the whole million lawyers in Ghana. Me, I'm not scared. Me no be con boot for boot until this world me no ba could be free mo. It's a sworn enemy and a path we are not going to stop crossing. You think you are the most wicked boy? I am wicked than you are. And journalism, we all went to school. I said, journalism is not done the way you want to do it. I am coming to show you the face of the Anas, Aremeyaw Anas, whose face is not covered. There's another Anas be there, and the face I covered, only me no. But this is the Anas I know, whose face is not covered. Maybe you haven't seen that face before. Tonight, maybe you actually. Yes. Folks, take a listen. Look at this face. The Anas without a cover face. Look at him and check what he's doing in the room with those people. Take a listen.
Yeah. The paper is with the Ahmed.
Yes, you know what to discuss at the end. You talk a bit of politics.
No problem. That's my lovely passion. I like it.
So again, we start with a normal conversation. You do business. I'm very interested in that. You ask them personally, what can you do to help them?
I'll ask both of them what's your power and what's your relation to the projects and how you can confirm for us when you can handle the papers which we have recommended.
So it's a girl.
I understood, but you misunderstood me. I would have done know what you said. I get it.
Is everything okay?
Yes, I made a booking. It's 4 seats over there. Only 5.
Is that
5 seats over there.
5 seats.
Yes.
Yeah, 5 seats is enough.
The girl.
Great. So when with the image, yeah.
Yes, you Anas image no. Time na nipa na tata ofisi kasem no. Na osen kaye match investigation about nipa na this Canadian. Wo fa no ne hwan. Osi nantechi de nka tin say kokona say you senior journalist ne kay easy obenya gogo nantechi number. Now looking at the picture ne there and looking at the video ne there, this is rare Anas. Yes, because I saw Ahmed Swale video nim. Yes, Ahmed Swale me picture video nim. Yes, and I think this is a clear video. Yes, Senya Anas krana. I think Kokona is getting closer to Anas. But I hope that this is the rare Anas now.
This is the Anas I know without a cover face. Onini. So if there's any Anas there with a cover face, then I don't know you. But if you are the same person, Wunya and Abramian Komo, you are prepared, Papa. Somebody is asking me one of the stupid questions I don't want to. I have 18. I have your mother. Meaning 18 million. I have your mother.
Hey,
okay? Don't come and speak rubbish. Oh. Don't just get out. This is the Anas without a face cover.
Obusiana is kokona hiti, easy. We hiti. Na think so Anas 1-on-1 kwada ne obenya kwada nkanye bukum arena me yache ne bring them next one ni no. O matie gina. Kokona hiti style bi abi. Hit. God I dare.
Onu ne enim no. Hwe nioma na o ye no. If he's the same person, we are telling him so omra me emisa nasem. But say no wherever he is, I tell him remain silent and shut up. You and your surrogate. Remain silent and shut up.
Remain silent and shut up. Shut up. Anas Aremeyaw Anas. Shut up. Then I think say any onabo kene Japan any Kwaku. They are bringing down Anas Aremeyaw Anas. Only the crew na mo bring you down. $80 million. I don't think it's going to be possible say Anas Insabeka says scam. No, it's not going to work. Ghana for them trim. So Anas a really case, you know, why is you been $80 million, you know. Obi be kasa asem na che obi a me say oboa.
Tap. Me my ready train. Me be yin for ni bi akyere mo. na de me be ya kire wi ubehu se afi abranti e fe na Ahmed Swali or video num. That's why I'm telling Ghana police say nobody needed to send Ahmed Swali picture to anybody. We have dozens of videos. Because me give videos, I mean that maybe dozens of videos. Ahmed Swali's image is in those videos. Ah, woman in Crawford share them. All these videos are me. These are all their own videos or unedited videos. Mumi Sano said, how did this video came out? Is he the one? If he's the one, then we'll know another time. Ahmed Swali was in the meeting. Ah, woman year rehearsals. We are no me peer victim na abeshim. We a juma I bomb basuma ni. Take a lesson. Watch this video. Namube hu Ahmed Swali in the video. Take a lesson.
When you choose, most of the things I don't have anyone behind. A lot of people we hired and they are maybe long time with us, but always they make mistakes. I have to take care about these by myself. I have to travel here and here and here because our investment is not in one country. If we don't follow like that, we'll lose.
So you are preparing the after gas and after oil.
Yes.
I think this is very, very good for your government.
This is important for future. So what's the next project we'll talk about? We talk about the hotel.
We say about the hotel.
Now, Monshe, imagine that hono. The extreme right picture no is what Anas Aremeyaw put to a US was say. Ono sa picture no ni three eyes yabo said no. But now below that picture is another guy sitting there. And that's not Anas. This is a gentleman by name Daniel Dazi. He's a Ghanaian working with the BBC. Now, what's your picture me and one? Both the left one and then the lower one, both is almost a par. It's a move. Obi beka se me cover menim meye say and soon or how a debra mine ebini. And I want the US court to understand them. Sadena send a nimnoa. Watch your space was no American court no any lawyers am be careful say enya ni real face no they met me akan no enya ni real face no there's a lot. Now I am coming to show you the face of the Anas Aremeyaw.
All right, abusiafo yes ensem ni nyina enie kokua na adwudwam ababem the evidence ni bibia to abontene yes Anas wo dini pa bone yeah, all right. Yeah, saw a video be on my Royal Clinton, my lady. And also abe dropping video be our di inchemu aba efa Anas Aremeyaw as one Kennedy Japan efa the seeker say me $50 million. Say be possible and I say any possible.
In terms of the legal reasons why Anas will not be able to enforce his $18 million US dollar judgment against Kennedy Japan in Ghana, I'm just going to go through top four reasons. The first is that in Ghana we have a legal instrument called the LI 1575, and it's a reciprocal instrument, meaning that any country listed on or within that LI can just bring their judgments to Ghana, and Ghana will just enforce it more or less if you go through the courts and go through the process. However, the US is not on that list, and it's called the Foreign Judgments and Maintenance Orders Reciprocal Enforcement Instrument. So although the US is not on that list, ordinarily a claimant would be able to enforce with common law in terms of they fall outside, they're a non-recognized country. But if it's a final and conclusive judgment, if the judgment is not subject to appeal, if a competent jurisdiction such as the United States made the judgment, and the judgment has merits, and the decision is based on the substance of the dispute, and there's an absence of fraud, and it's not contrary to public policy, then the Ghanaian courts would very much consider that when the claimant files. However, enforcement must not violate Ghanaian public policy, morality, or fundamental principles of justice. And you can imagine that since this defamation case has been heard in Ghana, not only at the High Court, but at the Supreme Court, it would fly in the face of Ghanaian sovereignty. And, you know, if for instance, Anas just sort of brought this judgment and said, well, it has to be enforced. However, Ghanaian courts had previously made a decision on the same parties, same facts, and the same cause of action, which was defamation. So it does violate Ghanaian public policy and our fundamental principles of justice if the highest court of the land has already ruled on this, and then Anas files a claim. So although if a country falls outside, in terms of you get a judgment in a different country and that country falls outside the LI, you can still go by common law by filing a claim, you know, providing evidence such as the foreign judgment and then making an application for summary judgment, although and then adhering to limitation periods. That normally applies, but the exception is, of course, that the matter has already been heard in Ghana at the High Court and at the Supreme Court. So, you know, the court here will likely throw out any claim for enforcement automatically based on that. And the other thing we have to consider is that in terms of defamation, although these two parties are sort of, you know, are mainly Ghanaian, even though I think the MP held a US green card at one point, the fact that the statements made against Anas reached a US audience through social media platforms, etc. That is why the US took it on in terms of jurisdiction. So although Ghana also does tend to have like a stronger protection for reputation in terms of defamation, and the US, you know, balances free speech with the need to protect individuals, still the US decided defamation existed, and although Ghana has a higher standard, Ghana declined to say that defamation essentially took place. Also, it's important to note that allegedly the MP in question has assets under 5 million, it is alleged, in the United States, so automatically, you know, Anas can go after that. But in terms of, you know, Ghanaian jurisdiction, we definitely have sovereignty, particularly because of the unique facts of this case. And so these statements in terms of defamations were made in Ghana, whether through television, radio, or online platforms, it didn't really matter, but it can lead to lawsuits in foreign jurisdictions if they cause harm beyond national boundaries. And of course, the defamation suit stems from a statement made during a 2021 online interview on the Daddy Fred Show, which is a US-based social media program, and Kennedy Agyapong made several claims about Anas, including allegations linking him to criminal activity and the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Sule. So it's a really, really interesting case, because although the courts in New Jersey have given verdict on the defamation suit between Anas and Kennedy Agyapong, it will definitely be difficult for the courts in Ghana to apply or to enforce that judgment just because of the background of this case. Furthermore, it went all the way to the Supreme Court, you know, so a definite higher decision was reached. Even though dissenting views said, you know, disparaging comments shouldn't have been made by the High Court against Anas, basically, but still the decision was upheld at the highest court in Ghana. And since the court has given pronouncements on the same matter, they are stopped from relitigating due to the principle of res judicata.
Alright, abusianfo and then lawyer the lady she edina egu ho no. Ti say no Kwaku na we declare war. Do no any Anas Aremeyaw Anas. Abusianfo aha e VANDYKE. Message so we subscribe. No share your thought with the comment section. Share video no e ma foforo enye bi hwe. Me da wase. Mbakram. Bye bye. The fucker.